Welcome to T-shirt design episode 13. In this episode, I'm going to show you guys how to make a vintage wolf pack design using Photoshop. And the best part about this particular tutorial is I'm providing all of the resources in the description below. So before you even start designing today, go download those resources and follow along with me. So without further ado, let's get started. Before we start designing, I wanted to go over all the images that we're going to be using for this particular tutorial. The first image is of a wolf, and this is found on unsplash.com. Again, everything is linked in the description below. The second image is a typhoon. This is more of a background image that we're going to be using just to make the design pop a little bit more. And then we have the font, which is pirate ship. I don't know why it's not popping up right here. Let's type in pirate ship. This is a completely free font, and I thought it looked really cool, so that's why we're using it. But you guys can pick any font that you like the most and use it for this tutorial. You don't have to choose the font that I'm using today. My recommendation is download all these assets, put it in a folder, and know exactly where it is on your desktop, and then you can kind of pull those assets out of that folder as you need them. But for this tutorial, I'm just gonna copy the first image. I'm gonna go to Photoshop. I have a 15 by 18 inch document open at 300 DPI, and this is the design that we're gonna recreate today the best we can. In order to make this so, we need a new document that's set up properly. So let's go ahead and go up to File, New, and let's start a new document. Go to Pixels and change it to inches. Let's do 15 by 18, and we wanna make sure this is at 300 resolution, and we wanna make sure the background color is black, because we are doing this on a darker shirt, and everything else you can pretty much keep the same. You don't need to worry about color mode or anything like that right now. And let's just hit create, and we have a new document. We are ready to start importing our assets. Now, I already copied the wolf, right? I right clicked and copied the image, so I'm gonna do Command V on my Mac and paste that in place. All right, so we have the wolf, but now we need to remove the background, and there's so many different ways to do this, but the beauty of the newest version of Photoshop is there's something called remove background under quick actions. So if we go up to quick actions, selecting our wolf, obviously, we can hit remove background, and it's going to remove that background for us. This doesn't always do the best job, so what we wanna do is go to, let's say, a hard round brush, and we need to actually change the brush size so it's much smaller. And what we could do is we can actually add some of the details back into the wolf. What happened was when we clicked remove background, it added a layer mask automatically to that wolf image, as you can see right here. So in order to add some of those details back, we need to make sure white is selected in our foreground. And remember, black deletes, white adds when it comes to layer masks. And we could just mask some of that back in. And this is just a much faster way of working versus having to use a lasso tool or something to select the wolf. And if you don't know where the details were, you can always duplicate the image, delete the layer mask, or disable it. I'm just gonna delete it, and then we can lower the opacity, just like that. And now we know exactly where to add the details back. I think this looks fine. So now we can hide that extra copy, and we are left with just the wolf. Another thing that I really don't like about this wolf is the fact that the neck area just looks super awkward. So I'm gonna create a circle around the wolf. So I'm just using an elliptical for this. And then we're going to inverse it by right clicking, select inverse. And then from here, I can literally take an eraser and just delete the neck area because I don't need it. And keep in mind, we do have that extra copy of the wolf here. So if I need to, I could just go back to it. But this is just easier to do it this way. So now we have just the wolf's head, and that's it. And then from here, all I have to do is right click, flip this horizontally, and then I can resize the wolf just like this. So we're gonna make it about that big. And this is kind of the start of it, right? We just need the wolf in place so we can start adding all the other elements around the wolf. So from here, we can actually right click, convert this wolf to a smart object. That way any changes we make will be added as an adjustment layer versus being destructive. And you'll see what I mean in a second. Before we add any adjustment layers to that wolf, I wanna go ahead and hide it, and we need to go get the typhoon now. So I'm gonna go back to Google. We're gonna go to Typhoon Photo, right click, copy that, and I'm just going to paste that in place. So let's go ahead and paste that in place, and we're going to resize this. Anytime you import a new photo, always rename it right away because that's a really good habit to get into so you know where everything is on the layers palette. Let's go ahead and toggle that wolf back on so we can kind of place the storm where we want it. Resize it again, just like this. So I think about right here is fine, and we're going to start adding some adjustments. So I'm gonna go up to Image, Adjustments, and we're going to go to Curves. The purpose of this curve adjustment is to add some contrast to the image. So we're gonna make 3 points essentially. We're gonna make 1 point where the shadows are, one point where the midtones are, and one point where the highlights are. If you're not familiar with an S-curve, you probably don't shoot video, and that's fine, but it basically just adds contrast to your image. It's a great way to add slight adjustments to all of the tones in your image. Anyway, I just did a basic S-curve for this one, and we also want to add another adjustment layer, this time hue and saturation, and we just want to completely desaturate this image. This looks pretty good, but it's not quite there yet. I need the darks to be even darker, so I'm going to go to Image, Adjustments, and add a Levels adjustment, and we're going to take those midtones all the way to the right, and those blacks all the way to the right as well. We really want to bring out that detail in the storm. This is kind of more of a, like I said, a background image to add some depth to the design. This looks pretty good, but now I need to delete certain parts, so I'm going to add a layer mask. We're gonna go to a brush, a soft brush actually. We're just gonna start deleting using black. So we're just gonna delete certain parts here. We don't need all this. What I actually wanna do is flip this vertically, I think. And that's the first part pretty much done, but obviously I don't like the color of the storm. It's just white, kind of boring. So in order to change the color, I'm just going to add a solid color adjustment over that. And we're gonna change the color to teal. Obviously it's affecting our entire background. We don't want that. So what I wanna do is click on the fill layer, and I wanna hold an option and hover between the storm and that fill layer and just wait for that down arrow to show up. And we're just gonna left click on our mouse. And then from here we can change the blend mode to, let's see, I think it was overlay is what I used, yes. The only thing about the storm right now is it's super bright and we don't want that, so I'm just gonna darken it up a little bit by changing the tone of that teal color. So we're gonna make it a really dark teal color, just like that. Now we're gonna move on to the wolf and add some adjustments, again, to bring some contrast into the image. Similar to what we did to the storm, we're gonna add another curve adjustments to the wolf this time. And again, just make some slight adjustments to bring some contrast into that wolf image. You don't wanna overdo this on the wolf though, because we want the wolf to have detail still. You don't wanna lose that detail. And then from here, we wanna go up to Image, Adjustments, and we're gonna go to Color Balance. And this is where we're gonna really mess with all these different colors. So we're just gonna bring some reds into the image, kind of going for a teal and orange look. And you wanna click between shadows, midtones, and highlights and adjust all of those colors. So I'm quickly going through shadows, midtones, and highlights to bring out some of the reds and kind of try to balance the image out to make it look good with teal, if that makes sense at all. I think this looks pretty good, so we're gonna hit okay on this. So now we have like more of a teal and orange look going on, and we're pretty much ready to leave the storm and wolf and start adding some text. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. Hit T on your keyboard and let's type out wolf, and you wanna make sure you can see what you're doing. So let's take that background color and make it to the foreground color. Select a color that you really like. For this one, I'm gonna make it this orange color. Again, I'm going for that teal and orange look, so we're gonna make it really poppy. I'm gonna resize this text about right here, looks good. And we also do wanna make sure this is behind the wolf. Keep in mind the layers palette is all in order, so whatever is on top is on top. And obviously our font is on top of the wolf, and we need to change that. So let's go ahead and drag that font in the layers palette below the wolf image, and that's what we have here. And I'm actually gonna title this wolf image, Wolf Photo, so I know it's a photo. The next thing I wanna do is just create a quick duplicate copy of wolf, so I have something in case I mess up. So I'm gonna right click on the wolf text, I'm gonna hit duplicate copy. So now we have two copies, and let's just click on wolf, right click, and go to convert to a smart object. And from here I wanna transform the text and add a perspective adjustment to it so it looks like it's popping out. So in order to do that, I'm just gonna press Command T on my keyboard to bring up those transform options. We're gonna right click, go to perspective, and we're gonna hold an option and just drag the bottom right point out. You can do this with the left point as well. And we're just gonna go really crazy with it for this one. And we can put pack right here. So let's hit T on our keyboard one more time and just type out pack. Really, really simple, nothing to it. So now it says wolf pack, and then at the bottom we also have some text. So let's use an ellipse for that. Doesn't matter what color the circle is, because we're gonna hit T on our keyboard, hover over one of the lines, and we're just gonna click once, and it's gonna put some lorem ipsum text on that text path, which is a circle. And we're gonna type out invite only club. I don't know why I put that, but that's what I put. So we're gonna resize the text by using this little double T up here. And then we just wanna use the path selection tool to center this. And if you don't know where that is, you just hit A on your keyboard and it goes to that. And that is how you can change the point of where your text is sitting on that path. So from here, I just want to resize the text a little bit more. The next thing I want to do is create a group for all of my text layers. So there's two ways to do that. You can go to the bottom of the layers palette and create a group this way while selecting everything, and it's going to group it together. Or you could just press Command G on your keyboard while selecting all of the text layers, and it's going to add everything to a group. Now we're going to focus on the text only and add some grittiness to it. So in order to do that, I'm going to go to the text layer wolf, and I want to create a layer above that. And from here, I just want to add a clipping mask. And then once I add that clipping mask, I can go to my brush and make sure it is on a soft round brush and make sure the blend mode is on dissolve. If you didn't know this, if you have a soft brush in Photoshop and you have a blend mode of dissolve, it's going to create a gritty look. Let me show you what that looks like. Another thing is you can choose any color you want for the brush, but I like to use a darker color to really create that contrast. So I'm going to do that. I have a black foreground color selected, and then I'm going to start just painting. And as you can see, it adds that grittiness to it. Obviously the wolf text is getting lost. In order to combat that texture, I'm going to go to the wolf layer and I'm going to go to inner glow. So we're going to add an inner glow here, but we want to make sure it is the same color as that orange color. And all I have to do is use the color picker for that. And then we can add a little bit of a choke. And as you can see inside of the font, since we added an inner glow, it kind of hid the edges of that texture, giving the font itself some more detail, and it makes it a lot more legible versus the black just kind of hiding the entire bottom of wolf. I didn't like that. But again, it is all preference. You guys can keep it as is, but I think this looks way better. And we're basically going to do this for everything else. Now what I want to do is duplicate the inner glow by holding an option and just dragging this to pack. And we are going to have to adjust inner glow for pack because pack is much smaller than wolf. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add a layer above pack, make it a clipping mask, and again paint some black in. And then I want to go to inner glow and just mess with the choke again. And as you can see, this looks much better now. Another thing I want to do is go to the wolf and just kind of adjust the positioning a little bit more. And then for the bottom text, I just want to go to FX, Bevel, and Emboss. And we're going to add a chisel hard inner bevel to this. And if you really want to get fancy with it, you can add different tones of that orange on the text. Like for instance, I can go to wolf here and add a little bit of a highlight to the top. Sometimes when you add different tones to a design, it just makes it look really, really cool and helps it pop out. The only other thing I really need to do now is go to the wolf, and we do want to add an adjustment to his eye. So I'm just gonna select around his eye using a lasso tool or a polygonal tool. And we want to add a hue and saturation adjustment, and we just want to make sure this is a teal color. Let's make another layer above him and just create some sort of lightning bolt. And then we can fill this with that teal color, the same teal color as his eye. And then from here, I'm just going to add a layer mask and just kind of blend it into his eye a little bit better using that dissolve brush, the soft round dissolve brush. And if you really want to get fancy with it, you can also delete this part on the A to make it look like it's going through the A. I think that looks pretty cool, but we're not quite done yet. So the next thing I want to do is go back to the wolf, add a hue and saturation adjustment to him, and we're gonna mess with the colors a little bit more. So we also do wanna make sure it is clipped to the wolf so it doesn't affect everything else. So I think this looks much better, and the saturation could probably go down just a little bit. And then from here, we can group everything together that we just did. Now all I have to do is add a layer mask to this group, go to my favorite texture brush, and then make sure black is selected for the foreground, and I can delete that out. And as you can see, it makes it look super grungy. So again, we can really get gritty with this. I think this one comes on a little too strong, so I'm gonna try a different one. And I found these by Googling them online, and some site, I think they're called Vector Lab. You guys have probably heard of them, but they have a pack of them that you can buy. They're pretty expensive, but they're worth it. They're really nice and they're really high quality. That's pretty much the final design now. The only other thing that I did is mocked it up. So let's go ahead and go to our favorite mockup. So I'm going to my mockup. And again, if you guys want to buy my mockup, I will link that in the description below for you. It's only like $5, I think right now is what I have it on sale for. Guys, let me know if you enjoyed this tutorial. Your input means everything. Every time you guys leave a comment and hit the like button, that really helps my videos out, and it lets me know that you love my content and I'm doing something right. So again, that means a lot to me. So keep doing what you're doing. But that's it for me in this one. If you guys want to see more of this style, again, let me know in the comment section below. And if you guys need any help with anything, you guys can find me on Instagram at CharleyPangus. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Keep creating, keep being awesome. See you later.